Imagine this. The very moment a woman realizes you are not afraid to lose her, that's when her entire behavior toward you changes. That's what we're talking about today. How to trigger a woman's fear of losing you. Not by begging, not by chasing, but by carrying yourself in a way that makes her feel she has something truly valuable she might not keep. Welcome back to the channel, gentlemen. If you've ever sat there wondering why she pulled back, why her interest faded, or why you felt like you were doing everything yet still weren't appreciated, this video will make things crystal clear. The truth is simple. Women don't hold on to what they don't fear losing. Here's the controversial part. Society conditions men to play the protector at all costs. You're told that if you just give more, love harder, and never let her feel uncomfortable, she'll stay loyal. But reality doesn't work that way. A woman's respect comes when she sees that you have backbone, that your world doesn't revolve around her approval. When she senses you'll still thrive if she walks away, that's when her instincts kick in and she clings tighter. This isn't about cruelty. It's about presence. It's about reminding her that your value doesn't disappear just because she's in the picture. And once you learn how to carry that energy, you'll notice women respond differently. Suddenly, they're attentive, invested, and even a little anxious about losing their place in your life. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to create that effect, step by step. By the end, you'll understand how to shift the power dynamic, without games, without lies, and without losing yourself. 1. Why fear works. If there's one thing most men miss when it comes to relationships, it's this simple truth. A woman values what she believes she can lose. That fear of losing you is not about cruelty or manipulation, it's about the psychology of desire. Think about the things in life you cherish most. They're usually the things you know could be gone tomorrow. A rare watch, a business opportunity, even your health. That awareness of risk makes you value and protect it. Women operate the same way in relationships. And unless she feels that same risk with you, she will take you for granted. Men are often taught that love means constant reassurance, endless validation, and making sure she never doubts your feelings. On the surface, that sounds noble, but in reality, it kills attraction. Why? Because if she knows beyond any doubt that you'll never leave, that you'll tolerate anything, and that no matter what she does, you'll still be there, then there's no tension. There's no urgency. You become the safe option, the predictable fallback, and the one she knows she can mistreat without consequences. And let me tell you, no woman fights for what she already knows she owns. Fear works because it activates her survival instinct. Women are biologically wired to secure a strong, capable man who can protect and lead. When she feels you might walk away, it forces her to measure her behavior and reinvest in you. Suddenly she thinks, what if I lose him? What if another woman gets his attention? What would my life be without him? Those questions create energy, and that energy is what makes her pay closer attention, treat you better, and respect your presence. Here's the hard part to accept. Women don't respond to endless comfort. They respond to challenge. Fear of loss is the most powerful challenge you can present. It tells her you're not desperate. It tells her you're not emotionally weak. It tells her you have options and a life beyond her. And once she feels that, her behavior shifts. She texts faster, she asks where you are, she invests more in keeping the connection alive. This doesn't mean you should play games or create toxic drama. The real key is living in such a way that she knows you're a man she could lose. You build a life with purpose, passions, and standards so strong that she realizes she isn't the center of your world. That realization doesn't push her away. It pulls her closer because she knows she has to earn her place. So why does fear work? Because it rebalances the scales. It reminds her that you're not dependent on her affection. It makes her realize your value is high, and if she doesn't step up, someone else will. That's when attraction grows, and that's when respect locks in for the long term. 2. Stop overgiving. One of the fastest ways a man kills attraction is by giving too much. At first, that might sound confusing. After all, aren't we told that women want romance, attention, and constant affection? Movies, music, and even mainstream advice push the idea that if you just shower her with love and gifts, she'll never want to leave. But in reality, overgiving is one of the most damaging things you can do because it creates an imbalance that destroys respect. Here's the harsh truth. When you give too much, you train her to expect more and appreciate less. Think about it. If you hand someone everything they want without them having to earn it, the value drops instantly. It's like spoiling a child. At first they're excited, but eventually they start demanding more, and no matter how much you provide, it's never enough. The same psychology applies to relationships. If you're pouring out your time, energy, and money while she's giving little in return, she won't see you as a strong man, she'll see you as a desperate one. Men often overgive because they're afraid of losing her. They think, if I do more, she'll see how much I care. But women don't measure your worth by how much you sacrifice. They measure it by how much you respect yourself. A man who gives endlessly is signaling that he doesn't believe he's valuable on his own. That kind of insecurity is repellent, even if your intentions are pure. What really attracts a woman is balance. She wants to know that your world doesn't revolve around her, and that your affection isn't something she can take for granted. When you stop overgiving, you create space for her to invest. She begins to wonder, does he miss me? Is he thinking of me? What can I do to make him want me more? That shift makes her step up her effort. She calls more. She plans dates. She invests her emotions because she knows she has to earn your attention instead of just receiving it by default. Overgiving also robs you of masculine polarity. A man's role isn't to constantly prove himself by doing everything for a woman. It's to live with purpose and allow her to join that mission. When you keep pouring into her without boundaries, you flip the dynamic. You become the one chasing, and she becomes the one being pursued without lifting a finger. That never ends well. The solution isn't to withhold love or act cold. It's to give from a place of strength, not desperation. You show appreciation, but you don't drown her in it. You spend time with her, but not at the cost of your own goals. You give enough for her to feel valued, but never so much that she forgets she has to give back. When you stop overgiving, you restore balance. You force her to recognize your worth. And most importantly, you show her that your love is valuable because it's not cheap. It's earned. 3. Stand alone. If you want a woman to fear losing you, the foundation is simple. You have to be able to stand on your own. Too many men enter relationships thinking they've finally made it just because they have a girlfriend. They drop their friends, neglect their hobbies, and put their ambitions on the back burner, all in the name of love. At first, she might enjoy the attention, but soon she realizes that you've lost yourself in her world. That's when respect starts to disappear. And once respect is gone, attraction follows. Standing alone means being the kind of man whose life doesn't collapse if she walks away. It's not about acting tough or pretending you don't care. It's about actually having a foundation that doesn't depend on her validation. Women are instinctively drawn to men who are rooted, men who don't wobble when someone leaves them or when circumstances change. Why? Because it shows strength. It shows leadership. It shows she's with someone who can carry himself and, if needed, carry others too. Think about the men you respect most. They're not the ones who beg for attention or sacrifice everything for approval. They're the ones with vision. They have a mission that drives them, and they're willing to walk it alone if no one joins. That's the energy women are magnetized by. She wants to feel like she's part of your story, not that she is your whole story. The mistake many men make is believing that devotion means dependency. But the truth is, dependency breeds weakness. When you rely on a woman for your happiness, you hand her all the power. She senses that, and instead of feeling secure, she feels pressure. Women don't want to mother a man, they want to admire him. And admiration only comes when you're standing firm on your own feet. Being able to stand alone doesn't mean you reject intimacy. It means you prioritize your purpose. You keep building your career, your body, your mind, and your network. You don't let a relationship strip you of your identity. In fact, the stronger your identity is outside of her, the more she values her place inside your world. She realizes she's with a man who doesn't need her, but chooses her, and that choice carries weight. When you reach the point where you're content with or without her, the fear of losing you becomes real for her. Not because you're threatening to leave, but because she knows you could. She knows you're the kind of man who won't crumble if she disappears. That awareness keeps her invested. It makes her think twice before testing you, and it pushes her to respect your time, your energy, and your standards. Standing alone is the core of masculine strength. It's what separates the men who are controlled by women from the men women fight to keep. And once you embrace it, every relationship you enter shifts in your favor. 4. Use space. Let me paint you a picture. There's a guy named Daniel. Solid man, hardworking, loyal to his girlfriend, but like most men, he thought the secret to keeping her happy was constant presence. He texted her morning and night, called her during lunch breaks, and made himself available anytime she asked. For a while, she seemed to enjoy it, but then it shifted. She became distant, started replying slower, and even hinted that she needed space. Daniel couldn't understand. He was giving her everything, so why was she pulling away? The answer is simple. Too much presence kills attraction. When a woman feels you're always available, she doesn't have time to miss you. Without space, there's no contrast. And without contrast, there's no spark. That's why space is so powerful. It creates anticipation, curiosity, and yes, even a little fear of losing you. Using space doesn't mean ignoring her or playing games. It means living a life so full that she doesn't automatically get every second of your attention. When you pull back naturally, not out of spite, but because you're busy building yourself, she starts to feel that shift. Suddenly, she wonders what you're doing, who you're with, and why she isn't the center of your schedule anymore. That uncertainty makes her re-engage. Look back at Daniel. The moment he finally pulled back, not because he wanted to manipulate her, but because he realized he'd neglected his own goals, everything changed. He stopped texting her all day, focused more on his workouts, reconnected with his friends, and poured energy into his career. Within weeks, she was chasing again. She started texting first, asking when they could meet and paying more attention to him than she had in months. Why? Because the space reminded her he wasn't hers by default. She had to earn his time again. Space creates value. Think about it like this. If your favorite food were placed in front of you every single day without effort, it would lose its appeal. But when it's rare, when you have to wait for it, it tastes better, and you appreciate it more. The same principle applies to you. Your time and attention must be treated as valuable, not unlimited. When you master space, you shift the dynamic in your favor. She learns that she can't take your presence for granted. She feels that slight fear that maybe, just maybe, you're content without her. And that's what makes her hold tighter. So remember Daniel's lesson, being constantly available doesn't make her love you more. Giving her space makes her realize what she stands to lose. And that realization is what keeps her fighting for you. 5. Set limits. One of the biggest problems men face in relationships is failing to set limits. Either they avoid confrontation altogether, or they explode when pushed too far. Both approaches backfire. When you never set boundaries, you silently agree to behavior that disrespects you. When you lash out, you look unstable and weak. The power comes from setting limits firmly but calmly, so she knows you mean it without seeing you lose control. Here's what many men get wrong. A girlfriend cancels plans last minute, flirts a little too openly, or starts testing with disrespectful comments. The wrong move is to stay silent, hoping it'll pass. Silence here doesn't show patience, it shows weakness. She'll think you're afraid to check her. On the other extreme, the wrong move is snapping with, "You better not ever do that again." That kind of emotional outburst doesn't earn respect either. It makes you look like you're reacting instead of leading. So what's the right way? It's to set limits with composure. You don't argue, you don't beg, and you don't threaten. Instead, you state your standard clearly. If she cancels last minute, the weak man says nothing, but the strong man calmly says, Listen, I don't deal with last-minute changes like that. My time matters. If she crosses a line with disrespect, you don't throw insults back. You say, that doesn't fly with me. If you want to talk, we keep it respectful. Notice the difference. The first examples make you look powerless. The second makes you look grounded. Women respect men who hold their ground without needing to shout. She might roll her eyes in the moment. She might test to see if you'll back down. But deep down, she registers that you are a man with standards. And that's what creates the fear of losing you, because she knows you'll walk away if those standards are repeatedly broken. Think about it like this. Every limit you set is a reflection of your self-respect. If you allow her to constantly disrespect your time, your energy, or your emotions, you're teaching her you don't value yourself. And if you don't value yourself, why should she? On the other hand, when you make it clear, without drama, that certain behavior won't be tolerated, she realizes she can't get away with anything. That realization makes her adjust, and it makes her invest more to keep you. So don't confuse limits with being controlling. Limits aren't about telling her what to do. They're about showing her what you won't accept. You can't control her choices, but you can control your response. And once she sees that you're a man who won't bend just to keep her, that fear of losing you becomes very real. 6. Spark competition. One of the most powerful ways to trigger a woman's fear of losing you is to remind her, without bragging, without being fake, that other women find you desirable. Women are wired to compete. They don't like the idea of another woman taking their place, and the thought of losing a high-value man to someone else instantly raises their investment. Here's where most men go wrong. They either hide from female attention, thinking it will upset their girlfriend, or they try too hard to make her jealous, which just looks desperate. Posting fake pictures, flirting loudly in front of her, or making up stories about women hitting on you doesn't work. That comes off as childish. The real power is showing her, subtly and naturally, that you are a man women notice, but that you're selective. Think about this scenario. You're at a social gathering, and women laugh at your jokes, engage with your presence, and show genuine interest. You don't have to rub it in her face. All you have to do is carry yourself with confidence, smile, and let her see that your energy draws attention. In that moment, her mind switches. She starts thinking, if I don't keep my game up, another woman could take him from me. That's competition at work. You can spark this even in small ways. A casual mention that a woman at work complimented your shirt. A moment when another woman shows interest in your conversation and you respond politely but don't overindulge. Even just maintaining your fitness, style, and charisma so that women naturally glance at you in public. It all communicates that you're not invisible. You're wanted. And the fact that you're choosing her over the attention of others makes her position valuable. Competition also exists in how you live. If you're a man building something, whether it's your career, your health, or your social circle, women notice. Your girlfriend sees that you're admired, respected, and pursued in different areas of life. That awareness stirs something deep inside her. The instinct that she has to keep proving herself or risk being replaced. That doesn't push her away, it pulls her in. The key is balance. You don't flaunt attention to hurt her, but you don't hide it either. You let her see, in small doses, that you're not short on options. You don't boast, you don't exaggerate, you just live in a way that naturally creates competition. And when she feels that pressure, she invests more, respects more, and prioritizes you more. Remember this. Women never fight for what they think no one else wants, but they fight hard for the man every woman notices, especially when he's the man disciplined enough to choose wisely. That's when the fear of losing you becomes a driving force in her behavior, and that's when you stop chasing and start being chased. 7. Stay consistent. Here's the real test, gentlemen. Anyone can act strong for a week, anyone can pull back for a few days, set boundaries once, or show glimpses of independence when things get rocky. But the men who actually trigger lasting respect and real fear of loss are the ones who stay consistent. Consistency is what separates the men she tests from the men she submits to. Think about how women operate. They don't test you once. They test you over time. A woman might push a boundary, back off when you check her, then circle around later to see if you still mean it. If you stand firm the first time but crumble the second, she learns you're inconsistent. And inconsistency kills respect. Why? Because it shows your strength isn't real. It was just an act. Let's take an example. A man sets a limit with his girlfriend, saying he won't tolerate constant disrespectful comments. At first, she adjusts. But a month later, she tries again, maybe in a softer way. If he laughs it off or ignores it, she sees that his words mean nothing. But if he calmly repeats his standard and stands by it, she knows he's serious. That repetition builds a pattern in her mind. This man doesn't bend. That's when her respect deepens, because she realizes he's not moved by temporary emotions or short-term desires. Consistency also applies to how you live your life. If you tell her you're a man focused on your mission, then neglect your goals as soon as you're in a relationship, she won't believe you. If you tell her fitness and self-improvement matter, then let yourself slide once you're comfortable, she notices. Every inconsistency weakens your value in her eyes. But when your actions align with your words day after day, week after week, you become unshakable. The fear of losing you is not triggered by one big moment. It's triggered by a pattern she can't ignore. When she sees that you never overgive, you never lose yourself in her, you always stand on your own, and you always set boundaries, she understands something powerful. You could walk away at any time, and you'd be fine. That realization doesn't make her want to leave. It makes her want to stay, because consistency equals security. Here's what makes this interesting. A woman may not always like your consistency in the moment. She may pout, argue, or act frustrated. But deep down, she loves it, because it gives her certainty. She knows who you are, and she knows you're not swayed by her moods. That's where long-term respect is born. So remember this. Charm can attract her, attention can impress her, space can intrigue her, but only consistency will keep her. A woman who knows you won't break character is a woman who will think twice before risking losing you. And that, gentlemen, is how you turn fear into lasting respect. At the end of the day, a woman doesn't stay because of sweet words or constant gifts. She stays because she respects you. When she fears losing you, it's not about manipulation. It's about realizing your value is too high to take for granted. By standing alone, setting limits, using space, and staying consistent, you create a presence she won't want to lose. Remember, men who are unshakable never need to beg for attention. Women give it freely. Build yourself, hold your standards, and she'll fight to keep her place in your life. That's true masculine power.